Introductions are hard. Here's Age of Ultron.
Folks, so this is the big movie of the summer. I mean, let's just put it this way. This movie's going to be a success no matter what the hell we say.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already seen, like, the box office over the weekend. Like, we know this thing is already going to be a big hit.
I mean, to be perfectly fair, this movie was going to be a success no matter what we say anyway, because, like, it's not like we have enough people to change it.
No, I mean, really. The thing is like...
Oh, hey, more self-deprecating humor on Dan's video done.
But anyway, we are here talking about the biggest movie of the summer, until Star Wars comes out, Age of Ultron, the sequel to Avengers, and, well, it's definitely a big thing. I mean, I guess you can probably say that we were big fans of the original movie. I mean... Literally.
Yeah. Big fans. Otherwise known as we were raving lunatics about it for, like, the whole year.
Oh, my God. Didn't we do a thing on, like, Facebook where we were typing each other as the Avengers?
Yeah, we
I mean...
got a group of us together and we changed our profiles to Avengers. I was Thor. You were Thanos, actually.
I was Thanos. I was having fun with that one.
And all of my statuses were in character as Thor. Because, you know, I'm a nerd.
But yeah, like, it's fair to say that, like, we were definitely big fans of the first Avengers, and I think everyone was a pretty big fan of that movie. I mean, it was a big event that happened. Not a lot of people were expecting it to be huge, and when it hit, it's like, now it's the third highest grossing movie of all time.
Right.
So that is a big surprise, and especially for something that is so comic book fan geared, too. It's still amazing, but the bigger question is, does this sequel live up to the hype that the first one set? The precedent that's set, and just all around, is it just a good movie? Well, that's what we're here for, so let's get on with the good. So I think it's fair to say that pretty much what works for this movie is what worked with the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of the banter between characters, like, that's just the Joss Whedon kind of style of things. Like, he definitely has an eye for, like, dialogue and just having characters, like, banter. Like, really what he works well with is getting a big cast of characters and just kind of really giving them a lot of chemistry with each other.
Yeah.
And especially with, like, a lot of the scenes, especially at the big party scene with, like, you know, in the trailers, like, you see them trying to lift up Thor's hammer and everything like that. That scene does play out a lot well because you do get to see a lot of the banter they have. I mean, even in battles, when they're just kind of like that first opening scene, you see a lot of the chemistry they have. You see a lot of the banter. You see that they actually kind of make fun of each other once in a while. Like, for example, they have this running gag with Cap.
Yeah. With
the whole thing of, like, I think Tony says, like, shit, and he's like, hey, language, and each time, like, they say something, he's like, oh, is that okay, Cap? And Cap's just like, I fucking hate you guys.
Yeah, so it's played out like an actual team that's been around for a while, which was cool. I mean, we've been with these characters for how long now? So
yeah,
it's kind of nice to, like, have that kind of come into play where it's like, yeah, we've been around for a long time.
And... But yeah, there is a lot of that. Also, a lot of, like, the action really is, again, I wouldn't say quite as good as the first movie in certain respects, but also, like, it's still pretty goddamn high.
You know what the thing is, though? I don't know if I can fully agree with that, just because, like, I went back recently and watched the first one, and it's, like, the only time where there was really, like, true breathtaking action was the final fight.
Well, yeah, but like, I think that was...
There was some cool stuff. Like, there was some really cool stuff. One of my personal favorite scenes was, like, the first time you get Loki and Cap fighting each other, and I was like, all right, that's really cool.
Or, you know, with Hulk and the helicarrier.
Yeah, like, that's cool. Yeah. But there are still really good moments with this one as well.
Yeah, I mean, like, if anything, it feels like there's definitely a lot more action than here in the first movie. There is. I'd say probably the standout moment of it is the Hulkbuster scene.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, yeah, that one... Yeah. That one, honestly, even, like, after the final fight, I was like, man, that Hulkbuster fight was really cool.
Yeah, the Hulkbuster fight was the best thing of the movie, I think.
Yeah, I really did like that. So, again, a lot of the action feels a lot like that. I think sometimes there's a bit too much, but we'll get into that a little bit later on, maybe. But aside from the old cast that we have returning here, we also have a bunch of new characters coming in as well. We have the two twins, the Maximoff twins, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
Who are totally not mutants. Don't say mutants. They're not. Actually, I'm pretty sure with the new continuity, they're technically not mutants.
Yeah, they're not I don't know. Comics are weird, okay? Things happen, people turn to frogs and pigs, and they get fine the next day, or, hey, they get killed by a supervillain, then, they just come back and they're like, hey, I'm okay.
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever, I used to believe I'm a mutant, but now I'm like an alien space fish thingy, whatever. But anyway, the Maximoff twins are here, and you get Aaron Taylor Johnson from Kick-Ass and Godzilla, and also Elizabeth Olsen from, ironically enough, Godzilla, coming in to do these performances. And the thing is, I like these characters, and I think I'll get into this a little bit more in certain parts of the negatives. Overall, I didn't mind their characters as much. I think they did fine.
Yeah, they were a decent addition to the movie. I wouldn't say that they were 100% needed. Honestly, I think if they didn't use them, the movie would have probably been the same. Well, no, because they focus a lot of stuff around Scarlet Witch, but
especially there's a little thing at the end with that kind of is a little tribute to one certain character.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see it, but I could also see kind of where you could also take them out and just replace them with any hero, really.
Yeah.
I didn't mind certain things about them. They do kind of tie in a little bit more with Hawkeye. Because Hawkeye actually has a much more expanded role in this film than he does in the last one. Mm-hmm. Which I appreciate. I mean, last movie he was kind of he was mind controlled for the first 2/3, and the third half he finally got to do stuff.
Right.
And this one he's actually right when he's about to get mind controlled, he actually says, "Nah, I've already been there. No, not going through it again. I'm actually going to be a part of this movie. Thank you very much."
Which was nice. I thought that was a nice little nod.
Yeah, I know. You definitely get to learn a lot about Hawkeye, but also see how he works in the team. Because the one joke I keep getting tired of is well, Hawkeye sucks. He just has a fucking bow and arrow. So? You got fucking Black Widow who has what? Guns.
Yeah, if anything, Hawkeye should be probably one of the scariest people on the team.
He's basically the sniper of the team.
Well, I'm saying he's the scariest one of the team because you're on a team where it's guys, a giant green range monster. You have the God of Thunder, a super soldier, a dude in an armor suit, and a world-trained assassin. And he's in there with a bow and arrow. They thought he was good enough to be with them with one of the most primitive weapons you could think of outside of a stick and a rock.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't get the joke. It's oh, he sucks because he has a bow. Did you see what he was doing with the bow in the first movie? Do you see what he does with it in this movie?
Do you know anything about Hawkeye at all?
I'm sorry you were asleep during those scenes, sir, but I have to say I disagree.
Yeah, me too.
He definitely does have a much more expanded role in this one. You do get into him, and what I also like, too, is that we do get into these characters a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them we don't, but it's we also have, 3 movies for them to, develop their characters, so it's kind of too hard. For example, Cap doesn't get as much, but then again, I'm well, we just got a big film with him.
So you kind of already know what you need to know about
Yeah, you already know, what it is it develops, the characters who mostly don't, you get some more stuff with Black Widow and Hulk, who have actually an interesting kind of romance. Now, it's not super interesting, but it's definitely kind of, expands their characters a little bit to get them more into, how they feel about what they are, because they kind of both compare themselves to monsters just because of their own personal experiences.
I mean, you know what? I'll talk about it more in the later portion, but I also think that it's clever that they're trying to take this, if you saw them in the first movie, there was the standoff and she pulled the gun on him and everything, and now it's they love each other. And that's kind of a cool way to take it, but, Yeah. I also have my gripes with it.
But, you do get an expansion with these characters because you do get these nightmare sequences that Scarlet Witch does because she has like weird mind powers. They're not really too clear exactly what they are.
They're not even kind of clear on what they are.
They're just kind of like, she has weird powers. That's just kind of it.
That's actually the explanation.
That is
She's
actually
weird.
I forget. But like, she has weird powers, so you do get to kind of see some like not so much background and stuff, but you do just kind of feel a bit more like they expand their characters and kind of go into them a bit more. Especially Hawkeye, who we learn actually has a family in this whole thing.
Oh my god. Okay, so again, we've kind of raved about Hawkeye in this one, but personally for me, I think Hawkeye is one of the better parts of the movie because it's like you go from having this really, I mean, outside of doing cool stuff, in terms of the team, he was kind of insignificant.
Yeah, I mean,
And
even they kind of went with that a little bit in the movie.
And now it's like, no, he's extremely important in this movie. Like, he's, not only, he's the one with everything to lose for the most part. Like, all of these people had the thing where it's like, they're part of the Earth, but they're also kind of not because they're like these larger-than-life creations.
Yeah, he's like, the way it is, like, he's kind of more like the human one on the team.
Exactly.
Like, even though, like, Black Widow, Scarlet Widow.
Scarlet Widow. Stop mixing words and colors.
Dyslexia, man. My own superpower. But, like, with Black Widow, like, even though she is, like, probably the most humanist, she still has, like, some of that detachment, because, again, she's, like, the world-renowned assassin, so there's still some
world-renowned assassin, trained, pretty much, like, had her mind altered for the most part. Mind and body altered, so at the same time, she's not just a straight-up person.
Yeah.
Hawkeye is literally just a dude with good aim.
Who lives on a farm with his wife.
That's it.
Like, yeah.
He's a guy with awesome aim.
Yeah, and it does kind of add to his character a bit, because you do get to see that he is just a guy. Like, whether or not some people appreciate that, I thought, like, that's kind of a cool thing, because he is really the human side of the team. Like, granted, they're all humans, but it's like, he's the only one with really, like, a human...
Thor is Asgardian.
True. Very true. That is true. Touche, my friend. Touche. But, the thing is, like, he is probably the one with the most normal lifestyle of all of them, really.
Yeah.
I mean, even Thor, like, he's like, well, a normal day for me is slaying frost giants and going into a giant dining hall. What is your normal day, Hawkeye? I repair my tractor.
Yeah, fix my tractor. I'm putting an addition on the house. The porch needs new wood flooring.
Good. Good boy. Thou is proud of you.
That sounds fun. And he, like, awkwardly fucks off.
Actually, that's probably why he left the movie. He's like, a farm. Because, like, all the Avengers are there, like, after all...
Man, I'm bored. Where's the Netflix? We don't have Netflix.
Excuse me, I must go on a Vision Quest. Yes, Vision Quest. Travel away. Oh, speaking of Ultron, I can't believe we haven't talked about him yet.
Yeah, my God.
The thing is, I definitely liked Ultron in this film.
Me too.
I know the complaints like, oh, he's not really exactly like he is in the comics, though. To me, it's sort of a double-edged sword, because if they went with how he is in the comics in certain ways...
It's boring.
He really is, because honestly, Ultron is kind of just really an emotionless kind of robot, and how many movies do we have, like, emotionless robots as the main threats? And I can understand why they changed it in a certain way, because, like, yeah, it would get a little boring just because of the sense of, oh, hey, it's an emotionless robot and wants to kill humanity. I've never seen that before.
You know what the thing is, though? It's kind of like... He kind of is. It's just a different take on the idea.
Yeah.
Because if you look at it, the way, like, his mannerisms, his jokes, the way he talks, it's all taken from Tony Stark.
Yeah, like, what they did with this one was they did give him a personality.
Yes.
Which I thought did kind of leave more of an lasting impersonation on the character. Because he does kind of have this... He does really have, like, this Tony Stark sense of humor that's kind of dark. Pretty much, like, he pretty much rips this guy's arm off. He's like, oh, sorry.
You know, the thing is, I don't think that was comedy. I think he was legitimately apologizing. And then he got really bad at getting kicked with the head.
Yeah, like, I definitely feel a lot of it has to do with James Spader coming in to do, like, a lot of the voice. And also doing, like, the motion capture. He really did make this part.
Totally.
Like, honestly, if it was another guy, I don't know if I would have liked him as much, because really you feel like James Spader's just putting his all for this character. And I would definitely say he's one of the more memorable villains of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The best? I mean, personally, I think Kingpin's boss, yo. Because
Yeah, the Kingpin.
the Kingpin, like, I just got done watching that, and wow. But yeah, like, I could definitely see, like, I could see him at least being, like, as far as, like, all the villains they had, like, someone would be like, I kind of like that Ultron guy. He was pretty cool.
I mean, I put him up there definitely in the top, section.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, for me, I know I haven't actually watched as much Daredevil, so I can't, like, speak on Kingpin until I've seen the whole thing.
Right.
But I know we've had this discussion before, and for me, I mean, my top villain, as I've already said, is the Hydra organization.
Yeah.
Because I think Hydra, like, when they showed up, just wrecked everything. Like Winter Soldier shook everything. So for me, that was huge. Because, like, everyone says Loki, and yeah, Loki's probably the best mainstay villain, but I think Hydra did the most damage.
Yeah.
And then, Loki, and then I'd put Ultron. But he's a fun villain.
Yeah, I mean, he's menacing because, again, he's like an 8-foot-tall talking robot who is pretty much planning on killing every single human in the world.
Mm-hmm. Actually, every single life form for the most part.
Yeah, pretty much. He pretty much has like a weird messiah kind of complex going to him too. Like, he hangs out in like this old church. He talks about how he's going to bring like a comet down, how he's going to make this gospel. Like, there's definitely some interesting layers to his character that I like, which I think will kind of make him a memorable villain. Like, just not even just his performance. I think there's some cool stuff with him. Like, yeah, it's not quite as comic book accurate, and part of me wishes he'd be a little bit scarier.
Yeah.
Than what he was in the movie. Like, because the trailer kind of made him like, oh, he's going to be really scary. I'm like, I don't mind him cracking jokes, but kind of wishing he was just a little scarier.
Kind of wish he'd stop for a second and be a little more menacing, but
just a little. But I still think he works as far as like a villain in the movie.
Like, once he got towards the end, like, that was Ultron. That was him angry, but I kind of wish they would have done that a little earlier.
Speaking of that, there's another android who comes to the movie. I'm just going to say, Vision was my favorite character in this.
Vision was amazing.
He only shows up in the last 30 minutes, but goddammit, those were fun 30 minutes with him. I love this. I love him.
Marvel has this thing of, like, taking awesome characters, putting them in movies for, like, no time at all, and they become the best characters. Like, personally to me, and I should probably take back what I said about the Marvel stuff, because I think the best villain in Marvel right now is Thanos, and he showed up, like, what? 6 minutes at a hole?
Yeah, and the biggest reveal was not the fact that he was in the end credits, but that he'd actually get out of the chair.
Yeah, he stood up. Holy fuck.
He can walk. Holy shit.
That would have been funnier than hell if Thanos is like, that's like a
he's
wheelchair.
Like, he gets up, he's like...
he's just like stuck.
He gets up, he's like, my fear, I can walk.
He like bubbles down the stairs and shit. Like, that'd be amazing. No, but, yeah, what the hell are we talking about? Vision.
I really gotta admit, I was actually really impressed how they brought him to life, because the way they did it was, it's actually a combination of CGI and live action.
Yeah, it is.
For the most part, it's Paul Bentley dressed up as the Vision with just little minor touches to make it look robotic a little bit.
Yeah. It's cool. Like, you could see Paul Bettany's face.
Yeah.
And then, like, you could tell there were the touches on the skin and on the cape and everything.
Yeah.
I remember that kid in the front was just, like, awestruck with the cape. The CGI on that cape, though, like, every 3 seconds. The CGI on that cape. I'm like, dude, shut up. Like, but it was really good CGI.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, like, I don't hear many people complain about the difference between, like, his origin as far as Ultron. Like, I kind of like this version of the Vision, how he comes apart.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Like, the way it is, like, this version is actually, Jarvis actually is put into a new robot body that was planned to be Ultron's body. Mm-hmm. Because it's made of, I think it's vibranium?
It's vibranium.
Vibranium, that's part of, like, a new technology that this...
Yeah, it's like a combination of machinery and organic, so he's effectively a cyborg.
Yeah, in a weird kind of way.
Yeah, in a weird way, like in the loosest sense of the term.
In a comic book way, he's a cyborg.
Yeah, it's not like cyborg as in, like, you were a living being and then we put metal in you. It's more like there's like a weave of metal and organic.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, but I like it as far as, like, getting him.
He picked the middle option in Mass Effect 3, is what we're saying.
So that's why he's green.
No, well, he would. Yes, green. You're right.
Yeah, but I like the fact that he's kind of Jarvis. It's like this little familiar thing that we've seen in all these movies. Like, because I like Jarvis. I like the whole.
Of course.
thing of him being a computer program, and if somebody's pissed that, like, oh, he's not the butler, Agent Carter, and he's the butler. But I did kind of like that they took this one element that's been in these movies for a while, and then decided, like, let's kind of expand on him. Let's actually have him be a part of the thing, because I kind of like that. I like the idea that Jarvis has basically been this computer program for his life, and then gets his chance to be essentially a superhero, like fighting alongside the guy he's been serving for, like, years, and actually doing some pretty cool shit.
I mean, really think about it. Which one of these movies came first? It was Iron Man.
Yeah.
And so we've been with Jarvis since, like, when did Iron Man 1 come out?
2007?
I'm telling you. So it's been like 8 years?
Yeah, it's been about, like...
Yeah, so there's a character who we've known for, like, 8 years finally getting his chance to fight, and he's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I really have to give it to Paul Bettany on this one. I'm really excited by seeing this character come in as well. He also has, like, a rivalry with Ultron, too.
It's kind of like a rivalry, but at the same time, it's like an understanding. Like, what's cool with Vision, and I really like what they're doing, is, like, he's not, like, out to protect the world.
Right.
He's out to protect life in general. Like, he is on the side of life, which is a quote from the character itself. And the only reason he wants Ultron to be destroyed, or he needs to destroy Ultron, is because Ultron wants to destroy life.
Yeah. And, like, I gotta admit that I love the way the character was portrayed. I love seeing him punch shit, because, A, who doesn't want to see a living android punch shit?
I like to see him stick his arm through stuff and then make it solid and rip it apart.
Hey, apparently he's worthy to hold the hammer of Thor, so... but
bullshit!
But, like I said, I definitely want to see him in more movies now. I mean, like, I love this character. I want to see more of him. And speaking of the action, you know, I really got to admit, they did some pretty good action set pieces in this one. Like, as usual, you know, it's as big as... I'd say it's definitely on a bigger scope than the first movie, because, like, where the last one was, like, just New York, now it's, like, South Africa, Eastern Europe, sometimes New York, and you definitely get a lot more locales in interesting ways, like, which I do like about the movies. Like, again, they are the Avengers, they're the world's protectors, so you do kind of see them going around the world a little bit. And, like, the global scale of that, especially on Ultron, even though he does just attack Eastern Europe, you still get that global kind of feel from it.
I mean, he attacks Eastern Europe, but it's to destroy the entire world.
Yeah, you still get that global danger from him as well, especially the feel that these guys are out to protect the world. Yeah. Like, I'd say probably the standout moment is easily the Hulkbuster scene.
Yeah, we've talked about it.
I haven't taken that part.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Oh, I love this scene. I'd probably say the most, like, the one that stands out the most as far as set pieces go, easily the Hulkbuster.
Oh, the Hulkbuster, like, that's the thing. The Hulkbuster is what caught everyone's eye since they, like, started announcing this movie. Oh, yeah. Like, they showed the Hulkbuster, and, you know, collectively, we all... I'm just gonna say, we all blew fucking load. And,
pretty much. I mean, everyone just saw it, it was like, oh...
Yeah.
Like, it's really...
We hulked out, if you will, brother. But, haha, that's a wrestling reference, too. But... Okay, this is fucking stupid. Let's go back to the beginning.
But I would probably say the set piece that stand out the most, no doubt, the Hulkbuster.
Oh, definitely.
That sequence... I kind of feel bad because that was like the one, like, even at the finale with Ultron, I was like, man, that Hulkbuster scene was really cool.
Yeah, I definitely think the Hulkbuster was the best, like, action in the thing. And plus, honestly, I think it should be, because we've been anticipating the Hulkbuster since they announced Avengers 2. That was, like, one of the first images they dropped on us to get people to want to go.
I know, and I love the freaking way that the whole scene, like, is. It's also, like, something I noticed in this movie, too, is almost like a big fuck you to Man of Steel. Right. Because constantly, like, you always hear them saying, like, we gotta protect the civilians, we gotta protect the civilians, are there civilian casualties? Almost like basically just kind of looking up to Christopher Nolan, David Goyer, and Zack Snyder going, we have superheroes.
Yeah. We actually care about saving people, like they actually show, you know, Iron Man, you know, actually saving people during the fight.
Or like he's about to throw the Hulk into a building and he scans it for civilian life.
Right. I mean, don't get me wrong, at the same time, though, dropping that entire, you know, the entire building caused a lot of fucking damage, and it probably killed some people. But the thing is,
At least he cared.
Yeah, the movie's also not, like, shying away from that. Like, they weren't like, nobody died in that entire fight. Like, there were casualties.
Yeah, I mean, even
on them.
Yeah, I mean, even when you see, like, the after effect of the Hulk thing, like, because at that point the Hulk is mind controlled by the Scarlet Witch because whatever her powers are. Like,
because she's weird.
She's weird. Her powers are weirdness. Like, you basically kind of see when the Hulk snaps out of it, you do kind of see him come to, like, almost a realization, like, all the destruction he's caused and the people who are injured. And you do kind of see that. Like,
yeah.
You see it as much as a PG-13 can show it, but you still get the sense that, like, wow, this is why Bruce is kind of scared of the Hulk, because he knows how bad.
Yeah, and then even after that, too, Mark Ruffalo does an awesome... I've always thought Mark Ruffalo did a great job of portraying Bruce Banner, but especially after that scene... Like, you really see all this weighing down on him. Like, you could say that it's like he can blame Hulk because technically they're not the same person.
Right.
But at the same time, they're both using his body, and he's, he understands that. It really hits him.
Yeah. Like, I gotta say, like, I was really impressed with a lot of the set pieces as well. I mean, I'd say it pretty much does what it does. It's definitely bigger. It definitely has, like, some of the same feel. I mean, there's definitely some of those, like, awesome splash page moments.
Yeah.
Especially at the beginning where they're doing that raid on Hydra, and you see all the heroes, like, in their poses right about to charge into the frame. Like, that's so splash page.
Otherwise known as the thing you saw from the commercial.
But I love that shit. As a person who reads the comic books, I love that shit.
Yeah, I do too, though. That was really
I love
cool.
those touches. But with everything that is good, there must also be a bad. I think we have a different opinion about where our negatives kind of come from on this one. Because,
definitely.
This
is going to be one of those moments, because I know a lot of our, like, Dan and Shane talks. Because here's the thing. Like, it's no secret Dan and I have very similar interests and stuff, so typically when we have an opinion, it's probably because we formed it after seeing the movie together. This is going to be one of the few times where I'm going to be calling him a fuckhead a lot. So, allow me to speak for you, audience.
Okay. While I like the twins, I do feel like they're not quite as interesting as, like, they could have been.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Okay,
let me take that back. I guess I do agree with him.
Like, for example, like, the two, like, the Quicksilver, like, if you're to compare him with, like, the one from Days of Future Past, I mean,
You know what the thing is, though? You've made that argument, and then I went back and watched Days of Future Past again, and it's like, yeah, that Quicksilver is really cool for all of fucking 3 minutes, and then he's gone. Like...
Well, sure, but, like, in those 3 minutes, he left a much more of, like, an impact on that.
He did, but he was, like, whatever. Like, he was really cool. You know what he was? He was, like, if you go to a motorcycle, like a BMX, not a BMX, but, like, a motocross thing, and the one guy that does the backflip, and everyone goes, ooh!
And this Quicksilver's the one who does the backflip and dies.
Yeah, true. But, like, that's what it is. That Quicksilver in Days of Future Past was a firework. And then he went away. And, like, that's the thing. I do agree he left a bigger impact.
Yeah.
But,
or at least as far as, like, what they showed, like, visually with him.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I like the way that they portrayed that Quicksilver.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was the thing, like, because that was always my fears, like... Because, like, when I first saw that scene, I'm like, fuck, Joss is going to have a lot of competition with that.
Dude, time in a bottle, and, like, Joss Whedon was just sitting there like, damn it! Damn it!
Fuck it, I'll kill him in the last act. There. Fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you. We're Scarlet Witch. Fuck you.
Fuck you, Fox. But, like, I mean, like, there's a scene, for example, where they're talking about, because they have this, I guess you could say, like, almost an ambivalence to Stark because, back when Stark was a weapons manufacturer, one of his missiles, like, I think it was, like, an apartment complex.
You know what the thing is, though? It was 2 missiles. The first one killed their parents.
Yeah, and the second one was, like, one that didn't activate, but they were, like, hiding under a bed.
Yeah.
For, like, I think it was, like, 3 days?
It was something like that. And then the warhead, the missile, was a couple feet away from them.
Right, and they wouldn't move because they were afraid the thing would just blow up.
Yeah, so every time someone went to go save them, they were afraid it was going to go. So essentially, they waited there for days for Tony Stark to slowly kill them.
Yeah, and I think it's like, wow, that would have been a cool visual to see.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice that we get that, but part of me's like, this is a movie. We could kind of see that. Just saying, not like movies are kind of made to show things.
You know what the thing is, though? At the same time, I kind of think that's a dumb idea, because I think they knew how, I don't want to say insignificant, but they kind of knew how, you know, small the characters were going to be. It's like, the characters, yeah, they're important. I totally get that they should, you know, show some backstory, but at the same time, the moment they, like, put it, because the only time it makes sense to me would be, like, a before the intro card kind of thing, the title card. Yeah. And if they did that, that would immediately make them, like, way more important than they actually are.
Like, yeah, like, honestly, I could see where you're saying that, but, like, I think as a visual, it would be an interesting thing to show, like, these two kids who are, like, just basically fearing for their lives, and you hear, like, Pietro and Wanda basically just, like, recount the story.
Yeah, okay, so that's the thing. I will agree the only way that would work is if they actually showed it, like, flashback style as they're explaining.
Like, as he's explaining it, they flash into it, and you start seeing this incident happen.
Okay, that would have worked, man.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, because that would have been, like, way more effective. Instantly, you would have been, like, there were the characters. You would have seen exactly what they were, and you would have understand why they vilify Stark.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, we've had movies where we've seen people vilify Stark, but that'd be the first time you actually see, like, the actions of Stark actually, like, in progress before he was Iron Man.
True.
And even then, like, they kind of play around with that. Like, the whole thing is, like, both of the forces, like, the Maximoffs and Ultron, have this sort of ambivalence to Stark. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't really feel very developed.
Yeah, honestly, okay, so I guess we agree a little more than I thought. I don't think the Ultron thing makes sense at all. Because the Ultron thing, it's like, yeah, okay, well, Stark made him. So did Banner.
Yeah, I mean, like...
Does he not hate the Hulk?
Well, he knows the Hulk can kick his ass, so he's like, whatever. I mean, even at the end, he's like...
No, the Hulk does kick his ass.
Hulk does kick his ass, so he's like, I would be angry at the other guy, but he's gonna kick my ass. So I'll be angry at the guy with the goatee.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's the thing. He only refers to Stark as, like Stark calls himself the father, and, situations like that, but...
It's weird. I mean, they even have, like, a lot of allusions to, like, Pinocchio. Like, one of the things that he does sing, and again, in the commercials, it's like, I got no string, the string's on me. So they're trying to go with, like, a Pinocchio sort of thing, but it doesn't really go that way, kind of.
I mean, it would have been great if they would have just done what they did in the trailer, which, by the way, that's not how it actually goes in the movie. Fuck you. No, but, I think that would have been a lot more effective, just as him, like, speaking it.
Yeah.
Like, he sings the song over and over again. Well, it's more like twice, but you know what I mean. Like, he sings it, and it's just like, alright, we get it. It was funny the first time, or it was clever the first time. Can you stop now?
It kind of reminded me of, like, Man of Steel's like, you're going to be really important someday, Clark.
Yeah.
You'll change the world, Clark. You're Jesus, Clark. You're going to be super important, Clark. You know that, Clark? Like...
Now it's time to save the world. Don't touch those people, Clark. Let them die.
Like, it doesn't get as bad as that, but, like...
What we're trying to say here is fuck Man of Steel. No, but continue.
But, yeah, I mean, it's not as bad as that, granted, but sometimes I feel like, at first I kind of got the idea that maybe he saw the hypocrisy in Stark and understood, like, the person that Stark was, like, looking, because he does see, like, the background of Stark and all of his files and everything, and maybe that's how
I guess
he forms a thing, because he's supposed to be a peace operating program, and he's made by a guy, like, the biggest irony of Tony Stark is, like, the way he wants to defend the world is by making a gun.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of works that way, but at the same time, it's like, the only clip that they show it of isn't even that long,
yeah,
so you barely get a chance to...
I mean, it's like from the first movie, isn't it, I think?
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, I think they could have done more in that one.
Got anything else?
I think the big thing that we disagree on is, like, the lead-ins to some of the other movies did feel a little kind of nudged in a bit. Yeah,
and I think he's stupid for some of them because he doesn't understand what subtlety is. I mean, the Thor one, Ragnarok, yeah, that was bad.
That one we can agree, because that one was, like, apparently it was supposed to go on for a longer scene, like he was supposed to be possessed by the waters and stuff like that.
And you know what? If they would have did that, I would have been fine with that. Because they would have actually done something instead of Thor gets wet.
Like, here's the thing, if it
Which,
was
by the way, Thor gets wet sounds like the worst poor...
I wouldn't, like, if it was just, like, that one nightmare scene, because, like, the Scarlet Witch has a scene where she, like, makes them all hallucinate shit. Mm-hmm. if it was just that one scene, like he sees something Ron Zenatgard is in Asgard, I would have been fine with that.
Yeah, that
would have been okay. But like the moment he goes like, I must have the Vision Quest to see all these other things that I must do because we have to have Thor Ragnarok and we also have to set up to the Infinity Stones and Thanos and the Vision. But I have to set up a lot in this scene. Excuse me, I'm going to take a dip into this pool where I see all these future movies.
Yeah,
it does. That what I feel is forced. Like
yeah.
The lead-in with Civil War, I thought was the one that was the subtlest, because it's just like Tony Stark and Cap just basically kind of bickering with each other. I'm like, okay, that's cool setup for it.
Yeah, it was a great setup. I believe also it was the most subtle. Little grammar lesson for you kids. Just because you actually see, like, it's not we're gonna fight one day. They legitimately fight, and it's like, all right, cool. We're seeing these people clash.
You're seeing like their ideals start to clash more.
Which it was done well.
Yeah, and that's where I feel like, okay, that's a nice setup to the next movie, which is essentially, I mean, it's called Captain America Civil War, but essentially it should be just called Avengers 2.5.
Honestly.
At this point, yeah.
And, okay, so now for the last one, the one where we disagree entirely here.
Is with Ulysses Claw, who, as comic book fans know, is a villain of Black Panther. He's played by Andy Serkis, and I kind of feel it was a little pointless getting him in, just because I like the tease as Black Panther because I want to see Black Panther, but at the same time, it could have been really any other character they could have put in there, and it would have been the same exact thing. The only difference is see Black Panther.
All right, now let me explain why he's a fuckhead. Dan, your argument is the equivalent of people who tell you you're overqualified for a job. Who cares who's portraying him? Andy Serkis. Oh no, they got a good actor to play him.
Oh no, I'm not.
You're gonna let me finish. I'm not done whooping your ass. on top of that, like, it's not even that big of a setup. They talk about vibranium, they talk about Wakanda, and yeah, there's a villain. Here's the only people who actually know that. People who read Black Panther. Do you want to know the people who don't know that? 95% of people who are seeing this movie.
But then again, 95% of those people would have said, I thought since he was in the trailer, he would have had a bigger part.
I mean, yeah, but you could say the same thing about Amazing Spider-Man, too. Okay, maybe that's not helping the point.
That's not helping much. It's like,
but no, whatever. Like,
he is the Claw!
No, he's...
He just comes up in the last moments of the movie, I am the Claw!
No, like,
prepare to die, Avengers!
Okay, so he is... Yeah, okay, so he's in the trailer. Sure, it's Andy Serkis. They had to put him in the trailer. Mainly it's just because, like, come see it. And then they kind of, like, I will agree, he should have been in it a little longer. Mainly because they Bryan Cranston his ass, like in Godzilla. Really? But my thing is just, like, I don't care that they got Andy Serkis. I fucking love Andy Serkis. I want to see him in more stuff, of course.
Yeah.
And the intro to Wakanda was not obvious. It was not, like, ham-handed at all.
No, I mean, not so much the introduction to Wakanda, it was just so much as, like, putting in Claw. Like, the thing is, I love Andy Serkis. I want to see Andy Serkis. And more like when the Black Panther movie comes out, I want to see Andy Serkis' Claw come in. I'm definitely excited to see that. It's just, like, it feels kind of like, I don't know, it feels like it's only there, or only that specific character just to set up that instead of really, because really, they could have just thrown in, like, oh, I'm a guy from the Ten Ring Society, and here's some vibranium. Or anything like... Basically, it's agree to disagree on this one, but... I'm
not agreeing. I think you're wrong.
I disagree? I agree, but whatever. But, like, I guess we can see eye to eye at least on Ragnarok setup. On that one, like, as far as that, like, I'm still excited to see Black Panther, and hopefully Andy Serkis... Actually, that would be a bitch if, like, Black Panther, he dies in the first 5 minutes. like, this big setup is like, oh, you're gonna see the Claw as a villain. Dead.
That'd be funny.
That'd be funny. He's like, we set up Andy Serkis to basically die in the first 5 minutes.
I would have to pay you $5 on that one and just be like, sorry.
All right.
But I think that's about what we have to say, huh?
Yeah, and let's reach our final analysis. While I do feel like this film has problems, I still overall liked it.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest criticism I can probably say is it's not as good as the first, but even then, the first one was a pretty hard act to follow.
The first one was amazing. Like, here's the thing. I like this movie. I really do. I know there are some people who say they like it more than the first, and honestly, I can respect that because of the action. Because that's the thing. But for me, I don't know why. The first one, for me, it felt, like, more significant. Like, the things that were happening to me felt like, yeah, there was a world at stake. Sure, they spent a lot of the movie on the helicarrier.
Right.
Whatever.
I think, like, the reason was because, it's like, there was build-up to that very first Avengers movie.
Yeah, there was.
And, like, with Phase 2, you only had maybe, like, one, setup to, like, Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
And that was really only, like, I mean, you could kind of maybe say the Iron Legion in Iron Man 3 is kind of a little hint of Ultron, maybe?
I'll be honest with you. Not really.
Like if you want to pull stuff out of your ass, I mean, you could say, like, well, that was a setup, even though they kind of sweep Iron Man 3 under the rug on this one.
Totally.
Unlike the first film, you only had, like, one build-up scene to where it was, like, Winter Soldier's like, Hydra's taking over. And then at the beginning of this movie, Hydra's gone.
Yeah.
So even then, it felt weird in a way. And, like, I think that also comes into the effect of why this one isn't as strong, because there's not that big, like, this is the finale of Phase 2. It just kind of feels like another chapter instead of, like, a big finale. That, like, the first one felt like. But I still feel like it's a pretty good movie. So,
yeah, totally.
Like, does it have problems? Yeah. It does have problems. I mean, sometimes I feel like it is a little rushed in certain spots. Like, I did hear this film was like 3.5 hours at first when it was there, and sometimes you can feel it got cut in certain spots.
Yeah, you can.
But overall, I still like it. I still feel like it is a pretty good movie. I feel like if you are going to see it, you're going to have a pretty good experience. I'd probably give it like a 4 out of 5.
4 to 5. That's reasonable. I would probably give it a little more. I'd probably go like a 4.5, just because I had a blast with it, and there were a couple issues, and those are the things keeping it from a full 5 for me. But everything that I loved about it, I loved so much that I was just like, absorbed. And that's one thing that the Avengers movies are really good at doing. Like, when something happens that really gets you going, it gets you going.
Yeah, it really does.
So that's where I stand on it.
Okay, so that is our views on Avengers: Age of Ultron. Whether you agree or disagree, let us know in the comments section. We'd like to know. So, until then, I'm Dan.
I'm Shane, and outros are also hard. Here's some credits.